More breaking news surrounding former President Donald Trump.
That's right, and the classified documents case against him has now been dismissed. Atlanta News First anchor and attorney Joy Lim-Nakrin is at the First Alert Breaking News desk with the latest on this case in federal court. Fill us in, Joy.
Well, Rick and Lana, in this groundbreaking ruling, the judge in the federal classified documents case against the former president has thrown out the indictments. She ruled that appointing special counsel Jack Smith to prosecute the case actually violated the Constitution. Federal District Judge Eileen Cannon was appointed by Mr. Trump in 2020. Her ruling clears away one of the major legal challenges facing the former president, and it also comes on the first day of the Republican National Convention. Smith charged Mr. Trump with dozens of felony counts, accusing him of illegally hoarding classified documents at his Mar-a-Lago estate in Florida and also obstructing FBI efforts to get them back. Mr. Trump pleaded not guilty, and he stated on Truth Social in part, quote, "As we move forward in uniting our nation after the horrific events on Saturday, this dismissal of the lawless indictment in Florida should be just the first step, followed by quickly by the dismissal of all the witch hunts. The Democratic Justice Department coordinated all of these political attacks, which are an election interference conspiracy against Joe Biden's political opponent, me." The dismissal of the classified documents case today has no direct impact on the massive election interference case against the former president here in Fulton County, Georgia. Back to you.